it depends on who the person is. And that's the main thing I would always want to say, is that people are still individuals. So I can't sit here and say, oh, I'm a trans person, so I'll tell you how you should support trans people. One of the things that I really strongly advocate for is that you treat everyone as an individual, but you have awareness of differences that they may have in their care needs. You know, for example, when I worked in disability, we had a trans client. He preferred personal care services to be given by a female support worker. That wasn't our standard practice. He was legally male, he had changed his gender. Our standard practice is that people were given personal care by a person of the same gender. But obviously that doesn't apply to every situation. So really, we went through this journey of having to look at everything from how we intake clients into our service, how we match them with support workers or choose appropriate support workers. And it started this conversation of, okay, as an organization, we might not be prepared to deal with anything that comes up. You know, you never know what's going to come up. But if we start that conversation on intake or on assessment, and we start the conversation about, okay, you know, introduce yourself. Hi, my name's Dylan. I use he, him pronouns. That immediately signals to someone in the queer community that you're at least aware of something like pronouns, which is a lot more than most people can say. Starting a conversation like that gives you an opportunity to show that person, to signal to that person that if they use gender neutral pronouns, or if they identify as queer, or if they have any sort of difference that they want to tell you about, any sort of diversity in their life, they can talk to you about that. And then it's about, you know, if someone shares with you, oh, I use they, them pronouns, keep that in your mind, because when it gets to talking about the kind of support they might need, you should always thank them for telling you anything. You know, if they tell you they're gay, if they tell you they're trans, if they tell you anything about their life, thank them for sharing that with you, and then ask, what does that mean for you? What does that mean for the services that we can provide you? Because it's, you know, you can't assume that every gay person, every trans person, every non-binary person is going to have the same needs. It's about thinking, okay, this person has told me A, what does that mean for B, C, D, you know, the services we provide, how we treat them, how we refer to them. I think one of the big issues systematically across community services, which is not something that, you know, one individual can fix, is that a lot of the systems that we use just don't have the real space to deal with these differences. So, you know, I've used computer programs that have legal name and preferred name, but then everything shows up as legal name. We've had systems that, you know, do offer a place for preferred pronouns, but it's not shown on the client's kind of main page of their profile. So what use is it? Those kind of things need to be flagged. You know, there should always be a place for sex and a place for gender, because they're not always the same. Gender's a spectrum, sex is not so much a spectrum. When it comes to sex assigned at birth, that may indicate certain requirements, but it only indicates those requirements if you also take into account gender and how someone identifies. And when you're providing support to people, especially, you know, personal support, or when you're providing even social support where you are that only person's connection to the outside world, sometimes it's really important to be aware of these things and to educate yourself, and for organizations to be able to make that information available.